Y&R Spoilers reveal the truth behind Martin's kidnapping plots. Two-faced and dark conspiracies, Martin Lawrence's life has never been peaceful. First appearing as a charming, powerful, and mysterious man, Martin quickly won the trust of many people in Genoa City's upper class. However, underneath that appearance is a scheming man who constantly manipulates the relationships around him. And when his dark secrets begin to be revealed, a big question arises: can Martin escape Phyllis and Sharon's trap, or will he have to reveal his true colors? Martin and Tracy, a deceptive relationship. Tracy Abbott, a strong and confident woman, has been hurt many times in her life. However, this time, she faces a greater challenge than ever. After trusting Martin Laurent, Tracy slowly opens up and accepts him as a part of her life. But, like a card turned upside down, Martin makes Tracy face the painful truth: his promises were not true, but part of his larger scheme. As the secrets about Martin begin to unravel, Tracy realizes how she has been deceived. The feeling of betrayal is an indescribable pain, but Tracy cannot let herself wallow in pain. She decides to confront Martin, knowing that this could have dire consequences. Chance Chancellor, the man who brought Martin to light shortly after Tracy realizes that she has been deceived, Chance Chancellor, one of Genoa City's sharpest and toughest detectives, begins the investigation. He cannot ignore his suspicions about Martin and decides to exploit every secret related to this man. Chance suspects that Martin is not the one behind it all, but that someone is manipulating and controlling him. Chance's investigation quickly uncovers Martin's dark secrets. Stories of kidnappings, manipulated relationships, and the people behind all the conspiracies begin to emerge. One of the most surprising things is the involvement of Tucker McCall and Diane Jenkins in the case. These two, although innocent on the outside, are important figures in Martin's plan. With Chance's arrest warrant for Martin, an intense investigation begins. Martin is psychologically tortured and forced to reveal the truth about the dark conspiracies he has been involved in. Martin's testimony shocks not only Chance but the entire Genoa City. His story is not simply a simple kidnapping, it is a grand conspiracy that the underground forces are trying to cover up. Jack Abbott, the decision that matters. When Chance reveals Martin's shocking testimony, Jack Abbott will be surprised. Especially when he discovers that Diane Jenkins, whom he once considered an ally, is closely involved in the case. The feeling of betrayal and difficulty in making a decision is inevitable. Will Jack stand by Diane, who has helped him through difficult times, or will he decide to kick her out of Jabot? This decision will not only affect Jack's personal life but could also reshape Jabot's future. The question is whether Jack can forgive Diane after all that has happened, or will he become a man who stands on the side of justice, even if it means losing his close friends? Secrets and traps ahead as the truth about Martin, Tucker, Diane, and their dark plots begin to be revealed. The Young and the Restless will enter a dramatic phase. The relationships between the characters will be tested, and each will have to face difficult decisions. Tracy will have to face the consequences of trusting the wrong person, while Chance will continue to struggle to solve the remaining mysteries. But what fans are waiting for most is how the characters will change after the secrets are exposed. Will the truth about Martin help them find themselves again, or will they all be caught in a spiral with no way out? The answer may surprise many, and these surprises will certainly create a dramatic battle for all the characters. The Young and the Restless is never short of unexpected twists and turns, and with the emergence of new plots, we can only expect a shocking ending to the story of Martin Laurent and those involved. Tracy Abbott's crisis. Between compassion and emotional damage, Tracy Abbott's life has never been without challenges, but perhaps the biggest challenge she has faced is not the family wars or stressful situations at work, but the pain and confusion after having to face Martin Laurent, a man who almost cost her her life. Saved by the last straw thanks to the timely intervention of Ashley and Jack, Tracy faces a terrible mental challenge: how to overcome the pain, deception, and psychological crisis after everything that has happened. Tracy and emotional damage. Tracy Abbott has always been a strong, loving, and forgiving person. She is a daughter who is always ready to sacrifice for her family, an elder sister who always protects and shelters those around her. However, being deceived by someone like Martin Laurent has caused Tracy to face a mental shock that she never thought of. Martin, the person she trusted and loved, turned out to be the one behind the dark plots that almost cost her her life. After narrowly escaping death, Tracy cannot simply return to normal life. She has to face the pain of being deceived, with the feeling that she believed in a lie that she can no longer trust. However, in her despair, Tracy still has one support: her family. Ashley and Jack, who have always stood by her, are not only the ones who saved her but also the ones who constantly encourage and comfort her in difficult times. Ashley, with her gentleness and wisdom, will be the one to help Tracy gradually recover. But as a long process, helping Tracy overcome this shock is not a matter of a day or two. Phyllis and Sharon's warning. The unsung heroes. One of the key turning points in Tracy's story was the warnings of Phyllis Summers and Sharon Newman. Although neither of them could have imagined that Martin had such evil intentions, they soon realized that something was wrong with this man. It was their warnings that helped the Abbott family discover the truth in time and saved Tracy from danger. Phyllis, with her sharp nature and keen intuition, recognized the danger that Martin posed, and Sharon, with her kindness and spirit of protecting her friends, did not hesitate to help Tracy as soon as she could. Although Phyllis and Sharon's interventions were not immediately recognized, there is no denying that they played an important role in saving Tracy's life and opening her family's eyes to the potential dangers. Martin Laurent, the end of a two-faced man. While Tracy struggles with her mental pain, Martin Laurent cannot escape his own end. After all he has done, the criminal plots he has created, Martin cannot accept being criticized and exposed by people like Phyllis and Sharon. Martin's ego is so big that it cannot bear being criticized and exposed for the achievements he has built himself. Therefore, he will do everything to protect himself, including facing Sharon and Phyllis once again. However, this time, Martin cannot escape the punishment of justice. When he is forced to face the truth, Martin's true face will be completely revealed, and his life will change forever. Tracy and the recovery process. Family is faith. When the doctors tell the Abbott family that Tracy will need a long period of mental recovery, they all realize that their job is not just to save her from death but also to help her reintegrate into life. Tracy will not be able to forget what happened easily. Her trust has been violated, and she will have to deal with mixed feelings of gratitude, hurt, and confusion toward those who once loved her. Jack and Ashley will be the two most important people in helping Tracy regain her peace of mind. However, there is no denying that this process will be long. It may take months or even years for Tracy to find her balance. But throughout this process, her family will never leave her side. They will be there for her, helping her process what happened and guiding her to take small but steady steps toward a normal life. A new chapter for the Abbott family. Tracy's story is not only a personal tragedy, but also a great lesson in trust, betrayal, and recovery. As Tracy begins to overcome her emotional crisis, she will also realize that her family is the only thing that can help her through anything. Even though Martin lied to her, the Abbott family has always been there for her, and that is the most important thing in her life. In the upcoming episodes, fans will see Tracy step by step overcome her difficulties. She will regain her faith in life, and the Abbott family will create a new future full of hope together. But no matter how strong she is, Tracy will always remember. Sometimes, the wounds are not only caused by betrayal, but also by the people we love too much. And in that healing journey, family is always the only source of support. Tracy Abbott's story is not only a storm in her heart, but also a reminder that, no matter what life throws at us, if we have family by our side, we can overcome it all. Tracy Abbott, the eldest sister in the Abbott family, has had her fair share of challenges, but what she has recently gone through is a huge shock not only for herself but for her entire family. After escaping from the hands of Martin Laurent, who deceived her and left her facing death, Tracy must not only deal with physical wounds but also deep wounds in her soul. She will have to face a spiritual crisis, a long journey to find peace in her mind and heart. Tracy's spiritual crisis. Tracy has always been a strong, trustworthy woman, and a model of love in her family. However, no one can prepare her for the shock she faces when she realizes that Martin Laurent, the man she loved and trusted, is the one who caused all the tragedies in her life. Martin's deception not only struck a blow to her heart but also left her facing death at the very edge. When Tracy escaped death, she not only felt grateful to her family, but also felt like she had just emerged from a nightmare of guilt and lies. With her heart broken and her soul filled with confusion, Tracy had to begin the healing process. But to do that, she needed time and support from her loved ones. Especially in these dark hours, she knew that she could not face this pain alone. Tracy needed to learn to accept the truth and face the mistakes she had unwittingly made. The Abbott family, solid support. Fortunately, Tracy was not alone in this journey of recovery. The Abbott family, with their boundless love, stood by her throughout the difficult times. Especially Ashley and Jack, the two people closest to Tracy, were solid supports to help her get through the painful days. Ashley, Tracy's understanding and loving sister, was the one who stood by her side, watching her every step throughout her recovery. Although she did not have simple answers to the painful questions Tracy was facing, Ashley tried to comfort her with gentle and sincere words of encouragement. Jack, her caring and protective brother, who never left her side, was the first person to take Tracy out of the arms of death and take care of her when she needed it most. Although somewhat bewildered and confused by Tracy's situation, Jack also tried to help her regain her balance. But as everyone knows, a mental crisis cannot be resolved overnight. Ashley, comforter and support. Ashley, with a compassionate heart and deep understanding, was the one who would patiently stay by Tracy's side, listen to her confidences and help her gradually face the truth. However, Ashley also realized that, while she could do a lot to help Tracy calm down, there was one thing she couldn't change: Tracy would have to deal with her troubles on her own. Accepting that she had fallen in love with a lie was a big lesson for Tracy, and it wasn't something she could easily overcome. In intimate conversations between Ashley and Tracy, Ashley would emphasize that she didn't know anything about Alan and Martin, and therefore couldn't understand what Tracy was going through. While this might not seem like much help in resolving Tracy's complicated feelings, it would at least help her feel at peace and realize that she wasn't alone in this journey. Tracy and her mental recovery. Even surrounded by the love of her family, Tracy would still face a long journey to recover her spirit. Coming to terms with the mistakes of her relationship with Martin, accepting that she fell in love with a cheater and almost lost everything, will be a difficult process. Tracy will need to process these painful emotions on her own, and it won't be easy. The end of a two-faced man. While Tracy struggles with her pain, Martin Laurent, the man who caused all this tragedy, will face his own end. After intense confrontations with Phyllis and Sharon, Martin will inevitably have to face the truth about his actions. His ego, which is so large, will not allow him to withstand criticism or the exposure of the achievements he has built for himself. It is this ego that will lead to his downfall, when he can no longer resist the truth. Martin will no longer be able to hide his secrets and schemes, and his story will end with the full exposure of his true face. After all that he has caused to Tracy and the Abbott family, Martin will have to pay the price for his actions, and this will be an important turning point in Tracy's life. A new chapter for Tracy Abbott. When the doctors tell Tracy that she needs time to heal emotionally, her family knows that this is just the beginning of a long journey. Tracy's recovery will not be quick. She will have to deal with pain, betrayal, and the truth about what happened to Martin. But along the way, the Abbott family will be a strong pillar of support for Tracy, helping her regain peace and hope for the future. Tracy will learn that no matter where life takes her, her family and loved ones are the only support she can count on. And although there will be dark days, Tracy will eventually find light at the end of the tunnel, because the love and patience of her family will keep her going. Tracy Abbott's journey will be one of rebirth, from pain, betrayal, to finding faith and love in life again. And the Abbott family will be indispensable companions on that long journey. A story ends, but will Tracy find true love? In the world of secrets, intrigue, and complicated relationships on The Young and the Restless, there are characters that fans can't stop thinking about. Martin Laurent is one such character. With his two faces and a huge ego, he has left a deep mark on not only Tracy Abbott's life but also many other characters. After causing pain and betrayal, Martin has come to the end of his path, but is it the right ending? And in the shadow of tragedy, can Tracy Abbott find true love? Phyllis and Sharon, heroes in the dark. Tracy Abbott is not the only one caught up in Martin Lawrence vortex. Phyllis Summers and Sharon Newman, despite having gone through many hardships in their lives, are characters who never easily accept defeat. When kidnapped, both women struggled not only with the fear for their lives but also with the doubts about their existence in an uncertain world. Despite their past conflicts, Phyllis and Sharon found a way to work together to face this dangerous situation. It was their struggle and determination to not give up that helped them overcome the great challenges that Martin posed. However, being trapped in that situation made them constantly think and give warnings about the danger that Martin Lawrence could pose to everyone around them. They did not hesitate to tell Martin directly what they thought, even though they knew that it could anger him and make him confront them. Although there was no lack of malice in their conversations with Martin, Phyllis and Sharon remained calm and determined to make it impossible for Martin to continue to hide the truth. Not only did they reject his false help, but they also forced Martin to confront the very ego he had always prided himself on. Phyllis and Sharon refused to be fooled again. They pointed out that Martin was actually doing nothing but making things worse and more confusing. Martin Lawrence. Ego and reality. Martin Lawrence, the man who was supposed to be able to heal the emotional wounds of Ashley Abbott and others, turned out to be not who he claimed to be. After being forced to face the truth by Phyllis and Sharon, Martin had no choice but to admit that he had put himself in a false shell. But Martin's ego won't let him take the criticism. In moments of stress, he slowly reveals his true colors, with claims of his genius and how he healed Ashley and Sharon even though all they've received from him is betrayal and lies. He begins to indulge in a story that only he believes. However, no matter how much he fools himself, Martin can't deny that his presence has brought pain to the people he once said he would save. With his ego, Martin can't seem to take the criticism from Phyllis and Sharon. He begins to claim that he has fixed everything, even though his actions have only made things worse. Martin's final words are not of remorse but of affirmation that, no matter what, he is the hero of his own story. A tragic ending. Martin chooses to end his life. Martin Lawrence's tragic ending is not an easy one to accept. After all he has done, Martin's ego and pride cannot bear being trampled by Phyllis and Sharon. Ultimately, in a moment of despair, he decides to end his life. It is not the beautiful or touching ending that fans might expect for a character as complex as Martin, but it is the ending that he chose for himself. Martin's death, while a relief to some characters, undeniably leaves a huge void in the story. He never found true repentance, and in the end, he could only console himself with the achievements he had made. A small victory for Martin, but a great tragedy for the rest. Tracy Abbott, will she find true love? With Martin's death and the end of the tragedies surrounding him, Tracy Abbott's story continues. After all that she has been through, will Tracy find the true love she has always longed for? Tracy once loved a man who lied to her, and although that love was not fulfilled, she still learned an important lesson about trust and self-strength. After the tragedies she endured, the Abbott family will always be the place Tracy returns to. Although she may not have found true love easily, Tracy knows that she can overcome any challenge and continue to find happiness. Tracy's story is not only a story of hurt, but also a journey of recovery and self-discovery. Although she has gone through a lot of pain, through it, Tracy will learn that true love does not only come from others, but also from herself. Will true love find Tracy? Time will tell, but one thing is for sure, Tracy will never give up hope. A story of resilience and hope. The Young and the Restless has always been a rich story of inner struggles, love, and betrayal. Martin Lawrence, despite deceiving and hurting so many people, eventually had to pay the price for his actions. But in all the tragedy and conflict, the character of Tracy Abbott is the most remarkable. She is not only a victim of conspiracy but also a symbol of resilience and hope. Will Tracy find true love in the future? We can hope for a happy ending for her, but in the tumultuous world of the Young and the Restless, only time will tell.